to inquire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for teeing up this very important hearing today, long overdue, and I want to thank our witnesses for your very thoughtful testimony and the work that you've been doing for quite some time to develop consensus in this country about the need for us to move forward on such an important investment. But let me just first make a comment. You know, there's been a rising concern in this country about the rise of China and whether they're going to eat our cake here in the 21st century and overtake us. And I would submit that the way to beat China, the way to outcompete China, is by making a crucial investment in a world-class infrastructure system right here in America so we lay the groundwork for long-term sustainable economic growth. The way to beat China isn't by erecting walls and creating barriers and slapping tariffs on them, but it's by investing in a world-class education and job training system so our citizens have the skills they need to compete and to be full participants in the 21st century global economy. The way to beat China is to win the 5G race on broadband deployment and to invest in basic and applied research so we can remain on the cutting edge of new scientific and medical and technological discoveries and breakthroughs so we can remain the most competitive and innovative nation in the world. That's what we ought to be focused on in order to beat China or any other rival economic power throughout the globe right now. And this is an important part of it. We've gotten very good at this place being able to recognize the challenges that we face. What we're lousy at is developing a solution and the consensus on how to move forward. And in this case, we've all been talking about a sustainable revenue source that's going to make sense. I'm going to challenge you all to help me or convince me on what that revenue source should be so I can sell it back home to my district, because in so many ways, geography really does influence policy around here. My good friend and colleague from Wisconsin, Ms. Moore, she represents a congressional district roughly 5 square miles in Milwaukee. My rural western Wisconsin district is a little over 4 hours from Stevens Point down to the border of Illinois. And I'm going to have to be able to go home and convince my farmers and convince my families living in rural communities that whatever revenue source we come up with is going to be fair and it's going to make sense to them. And I would submit that all this talk about maybe transitioning to other revenue sources and that, we're only going to get one kick at this can for quite some time. Look how long it's taken us just to tee up this hearing. And so if we're going to move forward on something, this is something we're going to have to lock into with the expectation it's going to be with us for a very long time. And that's why I'm concerned about how committed you all are on the user fee model and whether we're on a collision course with technology and whether it's going to make sense for that low-income family in my rural western Wisconsin district on a fixed income, having to drive great distances, who can't afford the electric or hybrid vehicle, and whether they're going to fear that they're going to be paying a disproportionate burden on whatever revenue source. And we're going to need that help. Mr. Donahue, you said you got a contest going on at the Chamber with new revenue sources and new ideas. But it sounds like you're pretty committed to the user fee model. And Mr. Trumka, you too expressed support for it. How open are you for looking at perhaps a more broad-based revenue source that is sustainable? Because I do submit to the notion that whether you're filling up a gas tank or whether you're driving on our roads or highways, all of us benefit from a sound infrastructure system in this country. So how committed are you to keeping your mind open to coming up with something?
Well, Congressman, if you look at our statement, you would find that we segmented roads, bridges, and transit and suggested let's go and deal with the user fee. And then we said this massive demand factor and need on airports, water systems, inland waterways, ports, et cetera, and what we have said, we're ready to participate in 3, 4, 5, 10 creative ways to do this. You know what? When we had the big presentation, I said what we really all want to do is what we did when we bought our first house. We want to get the biggest house we can for the smallest price, with the best mortgage at the lowest rate, with the longest period of time, and we can do that with investors of many types from around the world to get the rest of the deal done. But right now, today, we're at great risk on roads and bridges, and we need to move on it, and the quickest way to do that is...
Since we're running out of time, I hope we also keep an open mind as far as the waterway infrastructure system of our country. I've got more miles on the Mississippi than any other member in Congress, and You know, the 5G deployment in rural America is going to be a real challenge, too, so broadband, I think, makes sense within the broader infrastructure needs of our country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Kelly would like to make a request of the chair.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.